We turn now to the races for the North Carolina Court of Appeals. The first set of candidates will be Margaret Eagles and Hunter Murphy, beginning with Judge Eagles. So let me first say that Judge Margaret Eagles is a current district court judge in Wake County, and here is her question that she's going to answer as part of her 5 minutes. You are here participating in this forum because appellate judges are elected by the citizens of our state. Notwithstanding the fact that several bar groups in North Carolina, including the Bar Association and the NCADA, have at times advocated in favor of merit selection, our judges are still elected. Given that, what do you feel is the most effective way for voters to become aware of your qualifications, and do you believe there should be limits on what judicial candidates can say or do during campaigns? Judge Eagles.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Margaret Eagles. I'm a district court judge in Wake County, and I am a candidate for the North Carolina Court of Appeals. To let you know a little bit about my background, I began my career on the North Carolina Supreme Court as a judicial clerk for Justice George Wainwright, assisting in research and writing of briefs in that matter. I then moved to the Department of Justice and was an assistant attorney general in the environmental division, handling environmental litigation and regulation in the Administrative Office of Courts, as well as in the Superior Court, as well as doing criminal appellate briefs on behalf of the state. I then became a civil litigator, was a member of this organization, which I very much appreciated, and handled jury trials mostly in Central and Eastern North Carolina in both district and Superior Courts. I joined the bench in 2009. Since I've been on the district court bench, I've handled, it feels like everything, criminal, civil, juvenile matters. I received my juvenile certification when I was presiding in abuse, neglect, and dependency courtroom, handling matters with families in crisis and allegations of children who've been abused. I'm now the lead domestic violence judge in Wake County, handling predominantly criminal and civil domestic violence cases, as well as being the co-chair of the Wake County Domestic Violence Task Force and being a member of the Wake County Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. That's my background. I will also want to say thank you all so much for allowing us to come. My question is, how do we, since judges are elected, how do we spread the word about our qualifications? And this is a prime example of one thing we can do, is to share this information with organizations such as yours, and hopefully y'all will then make your determinations as to who you feel is the most appropriate and qualified candidate, and then share that with your friends, colleagues, and have your friends and colleagues share that information with their friends and colleagues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The question, I will admit that I have a somewhat inherent bias as to judges being elected, as I'm in the midst of a statewide election, but based on the other options that we have had available to us, I guess it is the best of. We don't have a good option, so we will continue to work with the election process. The other way to share qualifications, again, we're lucky that when my father was running for the Court of Appeals, there was no internet, and so there was lots of driving to fish fries and things such as that, and just requests for friends and family. At this point, obviously, social media is a big proponent, a big part of our campaigns, but I think the best way to share our qualifications is to look at who is supporting our candidacies. I'm lucky enough to have been endorsed by a variety of organizations, the NCAE, the Sierra Club, the Police Benevolent Association, the Advocates for Justice, after I got many questions about my time as an insurance defense attorney and my membership in this organization. And I answered them as I would answer to you. I was a member of this organization. I enjoyed my time as a litigator, and again, it's not going to impact my decisions as a judge. I'm dedicated to the rule of law, and I'm a rule follower. I'm steadfast in my commitment to the public trust, and I'm committed to impartiality for everyone who appears before me. I take my judicial oath very seriously. I take it as seriously as I take my marriage vows. And I will treat everyone who comes before me, whether I know them, I like them, I don't like them, exactly the same. It's going to be based on supporting the law as written, not as I would like it to be, following precedent when it is appropriate, so long as it's not in contradiction of the North Carolina and the United States constitutions. I've also been endorsed by multiple former judges and justices. I will not list all their names for y'all, but you can find that information on my website, which is eaglesforjudge.com. I also have it on good authority that my father, who's a former chief judge of the Court of Appeals, has endorsed me, which we're really excited about that. Because Mom is going to be really mad at him if he doesn't. But anyway, the other issues, ways to share information. Luckily, the State Board of Elections has provided a voter guide. And really, we just have to fall back on what people know about us, what people know about our reputation for hard work. I do feel I'm the most qualified person. I will ask for your vote and your support. I am the only candidate on my race that has any judicial experience, and I think I have the background and experience to serve as to join a very excellent Court of Appeals. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Judge Eagles mentioned those voter guides that came from the Board of Elections. Those just went out and they were just received by many folks. So if you have one of those, that's another thing you can use to look up these the biographical information I mentioned earlier. Next candidate is Hunter Murphy, who's a private practice lawyer in Waynesville, North Carolina. The question that Mr. Murphy will be answering is, given that you have been in private practice before running for judicial office, what experiences do you have from private practice that you feel best prepare you for serving on the court? Hunter Murphy.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for coming out this morning. This is a great opportunity for us to sit here and talk to you about who we are, what our race is about, and ask you to help us get other voters to come our way. I'm Hunter Murphy. I'm running for the seat which was vacated by Judge Martha Geer earlier this year and went into filing in July. So our race is newer to the ballot, but we're going to be the second Court of Appeals race you see when you get there. So I ask you to look at me, Hon.Margaret, to learn a lot about me. But my question is about my experience and how that sets me up to be what I think will be a great Court of Appeals judge. My entire career, I've had a very diverse small-town practice. That means everything from this week handling a partition case on Monday, being in DSS court on Tuesday, settling a PI case on Wednesday, and yesterday taking the day off and driving all the way down to Duplin County to campaign, because still we have to go to fish fries and we have to go to barbecues, and that's an important part of this. And this weekend I'll be working on a lot of real estate matters. So I have a wide breadth, but I think one of the main things that's important for a Court of Appeals judge, in addition to just a wide variety of experience, is what that experience means. It means that I know when a case comes back from the Court of Appeals overturning a criminal conviction, what that means for that client. You go sit there in jail with them and you talk to them about, this is how we have to approach this case now. This is the route the state's going to take. When a case comes back from the Court of Appeals and you win, and you finally get to go retry it and get a $500,000 verdict when your client's been waiting 6 years for that opportunity. The experience necessary on the Court of Appeals is the experience to know what your case means. I know what cases that come down from the Court of Appeals mean. I won my first case when I've been practicing for only about 7 months, and ever since then I've had a great record at the Court of Appeals, only losing one case. I look forward to the opportunity to serve you and to serve you better. I'm a father of 6-year-old twins, Braden and Eden. My wife Kelly and I live up in the mountains in Waynesville, where in addition to my state court practice and federal court practice, I also practice a great deal before the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians and dealing with tribal court, both criminal and civil matters. So I've been in all of our courts throughout Western North Carolina, all the courts throughout our state, and I think those are things that matter for this race. One of my early cases, I know we've been talking a little bit about separation of powers this morning. One of my earliest cases that I won at the Court of Appeals was a decision where a regulatory agency had issued a regulation that basically worked as a statute of frauds. We argued that was the role of the legislature. Only the legislature was allowed to set up statute of frauds in North Carolina, and the panel agreed with us and came back down, and we were able to take that case to trial. So I work very, very hard for what I do. I work very, very hard for my clients. I work very hard to make sure I get things right, and that's what I look forward to doing for you on the North Carolina Court of Appeals. I also been endorsed by some great people, including Justice Bob Orr, who endorsed me about 2 hours after I announced my candidacy, and also by the state North Carolina Fraternal Order of Police. So I think I'm going to wrap up there. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so I apologize for that. and look forward to talking to y'all more.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murphy.